Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It is a beautiful Thursday morning, August 3rd, 2023. We get together with our distribution partners and now our clients most weekday mornings to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and to support each of you. So today's topic is a very relevant one, but it has two layers to it. It has some factual information about a significant change in the small business lending landscape, much beyond you and I and what we do together. And then it also has a marvelous impact for you and I to help more clients and for you to make more money. So I sent this out to each of you. You should have received a reminder earlier this morning. But let's go through today the new SBA Lending Guidelines as of August 1st, 2023. Now, I know today is August 3rd, but these just became effective 2 days ago, August 1st, so it's still very timely. For those of you, and you know, I used to work for the SBA. For those of you that have worked for the SBA, you know that there's an SOP, a standard operating procedure. So it's all the guidelines, everything SBA, and it's a little tough to read, a little dry, a little boring for most of us. But if it's in the SBA SOP, then it's truth. If not, it's kind of a matter of opinion. Here we're talking about a recent and significant change to the standard operating procedure for SBA lending. So the title here, well, of course, is new SBA guidelines. The subtitle is, it's now easier to get an SBA loan. And I don't think that there would be an argument that that is a factual statement. And we'll go through why that is, and then, of course, how it can help you and I help more clients momentarily. So the federal program, so of course, the SBA lending program is a federal program. The federal program for small business lending is undergoing its biggest makeover in decades. So this is a really big deal. This isn't some little tweak that should be brushed under the rug. This is a big deal. They have changed the lending criteria in a significant way. That's going to help you and me. It's going to help our clients. So it's going to help more small businesses qualify for an SBA loan. So please understand, we're talking factual. This is not marketing. This is not a spin. This isn't, let's just regurgitate something that's already out there. Big deal. So specifically, the Small Business Administration is simplifying loan requirements as of August 1st, 2023. Now, the decision was made a couple months ago, but of course, it takes them some time to make changes to their standard operating procedures. The SBA officials say that they want to provide more funding to small businesses that have struggled to get financing. Now, we're going to stop here. This isn't universally popular. To you and I, this is great. This is the best thing since sliced bread. But there is the other side of the story. There are some who are against it, not within our organization and probably not within your organizations. Because what happens when you simplify loan requirements? What's the impact? More people get SBA loans. And that's great for you. That's great for me. That's great for our clients. But there are some that say, well, they're making it too simple. Too many people are going to get SBA loans, and not all of them will be able to pay it back. Well, frankly, that's not our responsibility. You and I work together legally and ethically to get people funding. Hopefully they'll pay it back. If they don't, that's not your and my burden. But I just want to make you aware that there's two sides to every story, right? So everything I'm telling you here is absolutely factual. It's real, it's validated, but not everyone likes the fact of this change. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you need to know about SBA loans. Now, this isn't SBA Loan 101, so there's more to know than just this, but here are the highlights that I felt like was most relevant for our discussion today. So what we're not discussing are the different types of SBA loans, the 504, the 7A, 7A Express. Don't worry about that layer of detail. But what you do need to know of course, is that SBA loans are very popular. They're very desirable because they have low payments. Now, that doesn't mean it's free. It's not free money. Someone that comes to you looking for free money, they're probably delusional. That's not the way that commercial finance works. But why would the payments be low for SBA loans? Well, it's because the interest rates are low. They're regulated by the government, so they can't be too high. And then they have longer repayment terms. So, I mean, that's what makes a payment low or conversely high, right? What's the principal amount? How high is the interest? How long is the repayment period? That's what affects interest rates. So SBA loans, this is true, a true statement. This isn't a change. It's just been historically, it's like, well, SBA loans are great, but they're really hard to get. They're very complicated to complete all of the administrative requirements. Now those requirements have been decreased. They're still requirements, and we're going to go through them, and it's what you and I do to help people, so it's great for us. But certainly SBA loans are great because of low payments. SBA loans can go up to $5 million, and that's a factual statement, and that frankly hasn't changed. So SBA loans can be small, they can be medium, they can be large. They can be up to $5 million. They can be used to start, buy, expand, or run a business. Let's break those terms down. Some people are wrong. Some people will tell you, oh, you can't get an SBA loan for a startup. That's wrong. And I don't know if it's because they're malicious if they would say that, or they're financially illiterate. We talked recently that everyone has an opinion, and a lot of people are not very disciplined in separating facts from opinions. We're going through today a list of facts, not opinions. So can you start a brand new business today and go get an SBA loan? Yes, absolutely. If they tell you no, they're wrong. And you can go look at the standard operating procedures if you want to validate it. But you can use SBA loans to start a business, to buy an existing business, to expand a business, or even to just run a business. So it's great applicability. Thumbs up so far, right? Now, what's interesting is that there's 34 billion with a B set aside. Now, this is looking at last year. That number may go up this upcoming fiscal year. The federal government does not run on a calendar year. I think you know that. It runs on a fiscal year. And so 34 billion is from the most recent fiscal year. That's a lot of money. What's very interesting, and you might not have known this, maybe it's trivia, but I think it's relevant, is you might say, well, did they run out of money? No, in fact, last year, 8 billion was not even utilized. In other words, there was more money available for SBA loans than people applied for. They want more people to apply for SBA loans. And if you do a percentage, 8 of 34 is approximately, a quarter, because 8 times 4 is 32. So approximately 25% of the money that was set aside for SBA loans was not even used. It's a gold mine for you and I, a gold mine. Because most small businesses want money to start and grow. Used to be hard to get SBA loans. Now it's easier. They're going to need our help, which I'll describe in a minute, and the money is available. So we've covered some historical facts. Now, regarding the new rules, there are new rules that allow for relaxed standards. And I'm going to go into that because I want you to understand that. But these relaxed standards are not for $5 million loans. They're for up to $500,000. So does that mean that you and I can help clients get more than $500,000? Of course. But we're just trying to stick to the facts, right? We're not injecting opinions. Factually, you and I can help clients get up to $500,000 under these new standards. Above 500,000, we can still help them, but the new standards don't apply. Make sense? Because again, we're trying to stick to the facts. Now, these changes, again, were a bit controversial because some say it's too easy now to get an SBA loan. that too many people will get the funding, and some of those people might not pay it back. Again, we want everyone to pay their bills, but that's technically not your or my burden if clients pay it back or not. And literally, when I put this in, this isn't me being creative or clever or trying to pitch you. I mean, literally, some of the documentation that was needed before that was a burden now is literally check a box. Now, I'll give you an example of this, and there's more than just this example, but you may know this, you may not. SBA loans are meant to provide funding to small businesses that couldn't get funding elsewhere. So if they could get a non-SBA loan, they were supposed to go get that. This was meant to be the fail-safe, the safety net. But what happened is the administration requirements became so burdensome, the requirements were so high that a lot of people didn't either apply or didn't get approved. Now they're relaxing that, and some would argue they're making it too easy. But again, there's still requirements. We're going to go through those, and it's exactly what you and I do. But the point is, literally, some of the items is just check a box now versus needing to provide validation. So now, so the last bullet of what you need to know about SBA loans is now more emphasis is being placed on loan packages and profit forecasting than historical financials. This is a huge bullet, so we're going to break it down. So what's a loan package? A loan package is what you and I do for clients, right? We help them put their documentation together to get qualified for funding, regardless if it's an SBA loan or non-SBA loan. Loan packages are things like the business plan, the financial forecast of how much money they think is going to come in, and so forth. So we've been doing that. Now, instead of putting as much emphasis, the SBA, instead of putting as much information on how has the business done historically, now it's more based upon what's in the loan package and how do we forecast the future. Think about that for a moment. No one knows what the future is going to hold. As long as we can document it and substantiate it, we can create a reasonable forecast that shows the profit to get approved. So does it need to be in writing? Does it need to be well thought out? Does it need to be well presented? Of course, but people can't refute forecast because it's the future. A forecast can't be known to be wrong. Now, if it's outside of the norms, right? You and I start a business and we project we're going to make $1 billion a day in profit. Well, that's an exaggeration, but you see the point. So it needs to be within a realm of reality. But this is exactly what you and I do in terms of helping people get the packages together and the forecasting. What we're fortunate now, which wasn't the case before August 1st, is that the SBA, while they required this, before they were more worried about how did it look in the past. Now it's more about how do we tell them it's going to look in the future. So are you getting this? This is huge, huge, huge. All right. Let's get into the simpler criteria, but let me pause for a moment. We've got 409 of you on the live Zoom this morning, so welcome to all of you. Anyone have any questions so far? Andrea, Bernard, Jeanette, Lon, Oscar, Patricia, Pauline, Sonia, Sharita, others. Anyone have any questions right now before we proceed and talk about the new, simpler criteria? Do you see how big of a deal this is, right? Because you and I are in the business of helping people become qualified for funding. And one of the best funding options in the marketplace just became easier to obtain. Not so easy that they won't need us. You'll see that in a moment. They're going to definitely need our help. But this is wonderful. We're going to have more success helping clients get funded, and you're going to make more money. Big deal. We all on the same page so far? All right, so let's get to where the rubber hits the road. Let's go through the new, simpler criteria. So previously, the SBA had 9 factors. 9. You can count them on 2 hands and have one thumb left over. 9. They've reduced it to 3. So it's not 9, now it's 3. And you might say, well, what are those 3 factors? We're going to go through those 3 factors. What you don't, although what you don't want to do is filter people out, because what you and I do is we legally and ethically help and effectively help people become stronger, improve their qualifications. So we're going to go through the three, but if they don't have these three already, that's great. Then they're a perfect fit for the credit and funding program, so we can improve their qualifications so they do get approved, right? So you got to keep that in mind. So credit was an issue before for SBA loans, and it continues to be an issue. No surprise. Now, the benefit you and I have is no one is going to get denied for an SBA loan with you and I because of credit. Because if their credit's not where it needs to be, then you and I can use the credit sweep, which addresses, technically it blocks applicable negative items, and credit boost, where we help add new primary trade lines. So we can help anyone qualify from a credit perspective. But credit is one of the three factors that remain. So 6 factors went away. We had 9 before, 6 went away. Now we're down to 3. Okay, number 2, collateral. Collateral was an issue before, or a requirement, I should say, before, and it continues to be a requirement. But guess what? You and I provide every client free collateral when they enroll in the credit and funding program. It's not like they have to pay for it. You and I literally transfer assets over to the client's financials for free when they enroll in the credit and funding program. So credit was an issue before, it still is, but we can help them with it. Collateral was an issue before, a requirement before, still is, but we provide that for them. We provide it for them. So what are we left with then? Projected cash flow. And this goes back to the point I made a moment ago. Historically, they were more focused on how has the business, or if the business is a startup, how has the business owner done financially in the past? Now, this massive change, this is the most significant change, is now it's based upon how we show them it's going to look going forward. And that's what you and I provide them in the loan package. So here, well, I guess I could say here are the 3 factors, the 3 criteria. Now, what you might notice is it ties exactly to what you and I teach and preach about the 3 C's, right? It comes down to credit, collateral, and capacity. I know that it doesn't say capacity here, but capacity means cash flow. The difference is they're allowing you and I to help the client show what the capacity will be going forward, rather than holding the client responsible for showing historical capacity. That's a big change, and that fits right into our wheelhouse. That's what we do. Anyone have questions on those 3 factors? Okay. Timothy's asking about some of the factors that went away. I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time about that, but I'll give you an example of one of which was based around character, which is technically the 4th C. Credit, collateral, capacity, character is the 4th C. We don't talk about that much, but character had to do, for instance, with industry experience. So previously, the SBA was really focused on, okay, have you done this before? Or is it new? And if it was something new, a lot of times they wouldn't approve it because they were worried about it being too risky if it was something new. That is an example of something that has been removed. That's one example, Timothy, of one of the factors that's been removed. But let's not worry about what's been removed. That's historical. We need to focus, Timothy and others, on what we're going to do to help these clients get funding, which gets money in their pocket and money in your pocket. All right, so then let's scroll on down. So how is it you and I, how can we, you as branches, help small businesses get these SBA loans up to $5 million to start or grow a business? Well, obviously through the branch office model, that's what you all are now, or most of you are. We will help the client meet the 3 criteria. That's what we're going to do. And we have access, preferred access to a number of SBA lenders, and some of which, and again, people will tell you this is untrue, but it's not, it's factual. I'm not going to misrepresent opinions as facts. We have some of our preferred partners that will fund an SBA loan in 24 hours, next day. Now, again, if you went out to the marketplace and you ask a bunch of people, some people say, no, that can't be true. It is true. They just don't have the type of relationships that we have. So, including we have the relationship with 509 Pacific, and they're a 501c3. So they're not just a nonprofit, quote unquote. I mean, they're literally designated by the Internal Revenue Service as a 501c3. Well, what's the relevance of that? Well, let's go to the note. So the SBA has also created the Community Advantage SBLC license. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? But that equips nonprofits and mission-oriented lenders who wouldn't otherwise qualify for SBA lending. These lenders focus on underserved markets. What a great target audience. What are examples of underserved markets? Not by my opinion, frankly, not by your opinion, but by the SBA, right? Because we're speaking of facts. So if you and I wanted to focus on helping underserved markets, what are they defined as? Well, how about startups? Now, do you know what the definition of a startup business is? I'm going to ask for some audience participation. Go ahead and type into the Q&A, which is like a chat box, is Zoom. Andrea, Bernard, Jeanette, Lon, Oscar, Patricia, Pauline, Sonia, Sharita, Terrence, others. We have 410 of you on here now. Take a moment and type into the Q&A of Zoom how a startup is defined. I'm curious if you know. Go ahead and type it in. Sandy got it right. I'll reveal her answer. Bernard's close. Andrea's off, but that's okay. So the SBA defines a startup as any business in operation less than 2 years. So that's a very specific definition. A lot of us think, oh, startup, that just means it just formed, or maybe a day ago, or maybe a month ago. I mean, what is a startup? Technically, a startup is a business less than 2 years in business. Historically, business financing is more difficult to obtain for a startup, a business that's been around less than 2 years. The SBA targets that audience. You and I should be targeting that audience. Secondly, veteran-owned businesses is another category of underserved markets. And I know Oscar's on, and I think a few of you focus on working with veterans, which is awesome. Women-owned businesses are also considered an underserved market. Minority-owned businesses are also considered an underserved market. And now CA, which doesn't mean California, it means Community Advantage, also identify those in rural areas and in low-income communities. So what's the point? There's a whole lot of people that meet one or more of those categories. It's awesome. This is a gold mine for you and I to help these people get qualified for SBA funding by helping them have the credit that they need, the collateral that they need, and the documentation that they need. So what are the next steps as we wrap up today's training? Well, the credit and funding program, which is what you and I take out to the market, those of you that are set up as branches, that is the primary resource we take out to the market. Why? Because built into it is the credit improvement. Built into it is the collateral. We're literally transferring real assets over to their financials. And we help them both build capacity in terms of increasing their bank deposits, but also to document their capacity. It's wonderful. And yes, you know it, and hopefully you know it, our credit and funding program guarantees the client funding, so the client doesn't have any risk. And of course, there's information on credit and funding on our website. Now, if you're a branch, you won't be driving people any longer to our website. You'll be driving them into your agreement, and we'll help you get that set up. But with that said, I'm excited, as you can probably tell. Let me shrink this down. What questions, comments, concerns do any of you have? Because either you're a branch or you're not. And it's up to you. I mean, I don't really care. But if you want to run a branch, then we can work together, take advantage of this significant change in the marketplace, go help more small businesses get funding, whether it's SBA or not, and you can make, on average, $12,000 gross income per client. And again, that's not get rich quick. I think the big lottery is up to $1 billion, right? Well, this is not winning the lottery. But what I can promise you is we can work together and help, on average, one client a day. That puts $12,000 of gross income, $6,000 a day of net income, otherwise known as profit, into your pocket. And so for a side gig, I think that's very credible. Now, if you have other ways to go out and consistently help people and make an extra $12,000 a day, let's do it your way. But this is real. This is real. All right, so Oscar has a question. Will this be one of the primary resources that we will use to help clients get funding? That's a great question. The process that we go through, Oscar and everyone else, is the client enrolls, we gather data, and then we identify a funding plan based upon the client's mitigating circumstances. And based upon the client's mitigating circumstances will be how we'll create the roadmap to get to funding. That funding might be SBA, might not be. What we don't want to do is go out and just spout off, hey, we're going to only help you get an SBA loan. SBA is one arrow in our quiver. It's one type of funding. It's desirable for the reasons we talked about. But let's say that the client has started a new strip club or adult entertainment. Well, that's a prohibited industry, right? There could be reasons why the SBA lending platform is not the right fit for a client. So what we do guarantee in writing is we guarantee funding for the client. We don't guarantee them specifically an SBA loan because, again, the strip club, the adult entertainment example, no matter how good their credit is, no matter how much collateral we provide them, no matter how good the cash flow looks, if they have naked men or women up on the platform pole dancing, the SBA is not going to fund it. So we enroll clients into the credit and funding, we gather data, we create a plan. So the plan might be to pursue an SBA loan, certainly could be, more often now than before, right? Because the standards have been relaxed for these factual reasons. So I think it's fair to say that this is this is an available funding resource, and it may or may not be the recommended approach for the client based on their circumstances. Great question, Oscar. So, but the process to you and I is the same, right? We need to go out, we need to create awareness, you need to enroll people into the credit and funding program. Under the branch model, they contract with you. You pick their pricing, right? It's up to you. If you don't want them to pay anything up front, we can get them financing for the refundable setup fee. You choose what their performance fee is. In other words, what they pay out of the funding proceeds. You're in control of that. You choose the terms and conditions of the client agreement. You're in control in the branch. We split 50-50. Can't beat it. All right. Any other questions, concerns on the topic today, which is very, very, very relevant? It is now easier to get SBA loans. I would certainly not think that it removes the need for what you and I do. I think it further emphasizes that what you and I do is exactly what's needed. This is it. This is what's needed. And that's now specifically what the SBA is looking for instead of that, plus a bunch of other things. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Let us know if we can do anything to help you. Of course, our website's here. Credit and Funding has more information. Talk to you soon.